You're watching News Channel 5, where the news comes first.
Breaking overnight, looters ransacked more than a dozen businesses in Ferguson and parts of North St. Louis County. This frenzy started after a peaceful rally for teenager Michael Brown shot and killed by Ferguson police on Saturday.
And we do have 6 crews on the streets of Ferguson this morning covering the aftermath of the looting and what's next in the investigation into that shooting.
So our Elizabeth Matthews was there last night as the situation unfolded. She's at what you could call the epicenter of the violence and the rampage. Now, you were there last night, Elizabeth, for what started as a peaceful protest, but you can see behind you it went bad pretty quickly.
Absolutely. We are at the Quick Trip that is on West Florissant Avenue. Like you said, we were here last night. I've been here since about 9 o'clock Sunday morning. It has gone from peaceful to violent to now, again, peaceful. So the family yesterday, they called for an 8 o'clock peaceful vigil at the apartment complex where 18-year-old Michael Brown was shot Saturday around noon. It started peaceful, just like all the protests, all the rallies have been since he was shot, and there have been several marches down the street around the police department, around the apartment complex. It started out peaceful. They got to West Florissant Avenue, several hundred, I want to say 300, 400, 500 people maybe, even it was a very large crowd, the largest crowd that they had for one of these marches. They made it to West Florissant Avenue, headed south, hit a police barricade. There were only about 20 or so police officers there at the time. Then that number of officers started to double and triple. That crowd kept moving forward until they couldn't get any closer, and the barricade stood strong. The police did not move at all. We felt kind of uncomfortable in that situation. We were shooting video there, and we felt that it was becoming a very volatile situation, so we moved out. That's when we heard that this Quick Trip that you see behind me, also on West Florissant Avenue, was being ransacked. The doors were being pushed through, the glass was being shattered, people were getting in, they were looting, stealing stuff, and then as you can see, it was lit on fire. Now, when we were here during the nighttime, we were trying to get to this Quick Trip, and actually, as we were passing people on the sidewalk, they said, you don't want to go there, and this is why. Take a look at this video. People running into Quick Trip, grabbing whatever they can. This is exactly what all the looting looked like last night. People just running in and trying to grab whatever they can. The Quick Trip was on fire for several hours last night. We never were able to get in because police had this area very secure. Actually, this building right now is still smoking. You can see that if we take the live shot back, you can see that the roof is caved in. There's nothing really inside. We did see a small flame from the inside about a couple hours ago, but it didn't look like a big flame that was going to rekindle anything. But like I said, it is still smoking. We do have a chopper up. I don't know if we have any aerials going right now. The chopper is getting video, presumably, of this Quick Trip and what it looks like from the skies right now. There is, okay, we've got the aerial video right now. You see that the pavement is completely littered. The gas pumps some of them are torn, but if you look at the roof of that Quick Trip, I haven't seen it from above, from a bird's eye view, but I can only imagine that it's completely caved in. I don't know if you can see any of that smoke still. On the outside of the building, you can see a lot of graffiti. This one over here says, "Snitches get stitches." This is just kind of an example of what has been going on here for the past, about 12 hours or so. Back to you guys.
Okay, Elizabeth Matthews, who's been on nearly 24 hours now. Thanks for that live report.
And we do want to let you know 3 other QTs in that area were temporarily shut down last night just as a precaution, but we are told that they have since reopened this morning.
So many volatile scenes in that area last night into the early morning hours. News Channel 5's Christina Coleman also had a front row seat to some very unfortunate scenes.
And she is live in the 9200 block of West Florissant, which is located right by the apartment complex where Michael Brown was shot and killed. Christina?
Well, that's right. I was out here around 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon for a prayer vigil that was very calm. There were area ministers from all over St. Louis County. It was very peaceful. You know, people were just talking about developing a strategy to make sure there was a better relationship between the people in the community and the police officers. And so when I came out here just after 8 o'clock and to try and coordinate and meet up with Elizabeth Matthews, police stopped me. The streets were blocked off. It was a completely different different situation. Tensions were running high. People were very angry. They were shouting at the police. They were challenging the officers. They were cursing at them. I mean, you can literally see where the officers were standing right there with their riot gear on, their shields, and their batons, and they were just standing, I mean, just feet away from protesters who were yelling and shouting at them and saying things like, what if it was your son? You know, how would you like to feel this way? You know, they're hurting, but that hurt, community leaders are saying, needs to be directed in a more positive way, something that doesn't involve, you know, policing crime and vandalism and just, you know, breaking into buildings. I mean, this kind of criminal activity continued for hours last night. And, you know, so here we are, you know, with the sun up, and you just see the aftermath of it all. You see the debris in the streets, you know, the business owners that are out here having to clean up. You see the officers that are kind of guarding these buildings now to make sure that they are not burglarized because they're so open. And so, you know, we're going to be out here continuing to monitor this situation. There's supposed to be another demonstration around 10 o'clock this morning just outside the police department. Back to you guys.
All right, Christina Coleman reporting live. She has been on the scene since yesterday afternoon, so we thank her for that. Meantime, the Walmart on West Florissant, right off 270, will need some cleanup this morning before that store can reopen.
Yeah, they are already picking up the pieces after a terrible scene there. Farah Fazal is live with more on the damage to the Walmart there. Farah?
There is a lot of damage actually inside, and there was a lot of damage here in the parking lot. There was debris everywhere. The store manager does not want us to show you the storefront, so we are not going to do that. He says he's concerned about his associates, so we are going to honor that request. But we did see him and other employees picking up the debris here in this parking lot in the last 45 minutes or so. This is brand new video that we just took within the last hour. It shows, you know, we saw the manager picking up things like pillows, toilet paper, TV boxes. The sister of an employee told us the looters smashed windows, ran inside the store, and started taking away armloads of electronics, including TVs.
The employees were in a front room, as I take it, locked themselves in, probably about 20, 25 employees, he was estimating at the time, were there, and they had all kept themselves locked in, didn't really know what to do. You know, they were just fearing for themselves.
That's Sarah Barton. She says her brother was scared and he was shaken as he was listening to his co-workers describe what had happened. But if he had to come to work, she says, he would have answered that call. And by the way, we just found out in the last few minutes that the manager said the store will not be open today. Well, they'll just have to.
Okay, thanks a lot, Farah. Now, of course, we do want to set the stage here. It is important to remember the person at the center of all of this, Michael Brown. Now, he is the 18-year-old teen who was killed at the hands of a Ferguson police officer on Saturday. Brown was said to be visiting his grandmother at the Canfield Green Apartments when this deadly incident unfolded.
And before all that violence broke out, the Ferguson community gathered for a peaceful prayer vigil to remember Michael Brown. Those in attendance at that vigil voiced their frustration. They spoke about the need to address racial tension in the community.
All right, so as the investigation into this shooting and last night's riots ramp up, one thing on so many people's minds, accountability. Where do we go from here? Joining us this morning to talk about that, James Clark, director of A Better Family Life. And Mr. Clark, you've seen what we've seen, just some awful violence, fires, looting. How do we move forward? Where do we go from here? How do we get to the next stage?
Well, I think that first we need to take a very deep breath. And we need to remember that at the root of this, there was a young man killed. And these incidents overshadow that. So we must keep that at the forefront. Then moving forward, we have got to look at the volatile behavior and understand that at the root cause of that is a lack of resources. We have neglected the urban core and parts of the suburban areas for decades now. So you have individuals who are tired, angry, frustrated, and who have a very short fuse. Now they are beginning to come to the surface, and we've got to get out front. So after the dust settles and the smoke clears, we need to develop strong, aggressive outreach programs that go into the neighborhoods and help with jobs, drug treatment, GED training, really things that can help individuals make better decisions. And it can't be a short-term fix. We need a paradigm shift in social service where we are in neighborhoods delivering resources to families that need them most.
Well, Mr. Clark, how do we keep the focus on Michael Brown? Because obviously that is the teen who was shot. It sparked all of this, but now it gets violent and people's attention shifts to that and focus on that. How do we get back to the heart of the matter?
Well, that's going to be a difficult thing to do because it's very, very fluid. And people are very, very angry and very, very agitated. So what we have to do is we have to go back to the families. We need parents to begin to speak to their children and actually have curfews for their children right now. This may not be over, and more than likely we may go through another week or two with this kind of activism. But the long-term solution is we've got to engage our more challenged neighborhoods and reach out to the individuals that need help the most.
Yeah, and a lot of people suspect, Mr. Clark, that this could be a conversation that'll extend well beyond a couple of weeks. And
yes,
if anything at all positive can come from this tragedy, that will certainly be a blessing. We thank you for getting up early and joining us this morning.
Thank you.
On such a terrible day. But we all plan to hopefully move forward. And of course, it is a first day of school as well, a big day for a whole other set of reasons. Scott Connell on this Monday.
Yeah, first day of school for the St. Louis public school system this morning. And so we are talking about temperatures around the area that are pretty comfortable. The rain is down to the south, some scattered showers at this point, drifting by to our south. They've eluded the metro area. So really, there's just a chance for a couple of spot showers, especially south of St. Louis. Temperatures are still in the low 70s. You walk out the door, it is quite muggy around the St. Louis area right now. We might see a spot shower or thunderstorm heading into this afternoon. The odds don't favor a lot of rain. We're in the mid-80s for highs, and it will be muggy today, but things do change as we head into tonight and tomorrow. Let's see how roads are looking this morning. Sarah's been monitoring the traffic around the St. Louis area.
Yeah, no major problems. As you've heard our reporters mention this morning, if you are traveling up to the Ferguson area, Delwood, Florissant through that stretch, West Florissant between Lucas and Hunt and Chambers, there are reports of debris and still a heavy police presence through that area. So just keep that in mind. If we take a look at our travel times, however, 4064 eastbound from the Boom Bridge to 270, you're scooting along there. 70 eastbound in great shape. Look at that, 60 miles per hour. And 55 northbound coming up from 141 Arnold up towards 255 and 270. No concerns there either. Take a peek at our first alert traffic cameras. You can see 4064 and Mason coming off 270 there if you're traveling eastbound or westbound. Volume is starting to pick up, but it's not completely bogged down just yet. 55 at Butler Hill as you approach 255 and 270 there coming off the JB Bridge. You're rolling right along there. You're in great shape. And also the Poplar Street Bridge starting to pick up as well. 270 and 367. You're looking at some nice pacing and spacing between vehicles there as well. So no major accidents and no concerns at this point. And we'll see you in the next couple of minutes with another check of traffic.
Okay, thanks a lot, Sarah. Right now it is 6:13.
Our team coverage continues on the developing situation in Ferguson.
2 officers were injured and 1 was shot at in the Ferguson area last night. We'll get the latest from police.
And I'm in neighboring Delwood where several businesses were hit, including this tire shop behind me.
Welcome back. It is 6:16. You're taking a live look at chopper video this morning. You can see that QT on West Florissant, not far from the Canfield Green Apartments. That's where Michael Brown was shot and killed Saturday. And since then, peaceful protesting turned into dangerous and violent looting. You can see that QT there was burned down. People stormed in, took many items. You can see there's police on the scene. No other traffic, though, in that area.
And as the sun starts to come up, Scott Connell, unfortunately, will probably get a fuller picture of the damage from last night. It's back to school Monday for some, so we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, it is back to school today. Riverview Gardens heading back to school today. Pattonville's Hazelwood, Rockwood School District first day of school, as well as the St. Louis Public Schools today, among others. You can see kind of gloomy out there this morning. There's going to be the sun that breaks through the clouds at times. Most of us, though, not seeing rain right now. You look down to the south of St. Louis and we've seen some showers. But that's about it. Temperatures around the metro this morning are running close to that 70-degree mark. As we move through this first day of school, your school day forecast, we're talking about temperatures this afternoon in the mid-80s. Just a chance for a spot shower or thunderstorm. Not a big chance for rain. Odds are you get outdoor recess today for those of you headed back to school. We'll see you in a few minutes. Sarah?
Pretty good shape out there, 255 and Telegraph. You can see the JB Bridge, no major concerns, so we're in pretty good shape. accident-free on both sides of the river, like we mentioned just a couple of minutes ago, so you're not going to have any problems. Keep in mind, though, with schools back in session, we are going to transition into where our trouble spots will start to pick up just a little bit earlier than we're used to seeing the past couple of months.
Welcome back. It is now 6:20 on this Monday morning. You are looking live at the city of Ferguson. This is a quick trip that burned last night. It was a night of looting and rioting after the deadly police shooting of a local teen.
We will check in with our team of reporters on the street covering all the aftermath. First, here's a quick rundown of 3 storylines coming out of the shooting that we will be following today. News Channel 5 has learned the family of Michael Brown has retained the services of lawyer Benjamin Crump. Now, Crump is a national civil rights attorney. He also represented the family of Trayvon Martin, the unarmed Florida teen shot and killed by George Zimmerman. Crump and Brown's family expected to address the media this afternoon.
And the Reverend Al Sharpton making his way to Ferguson in response to the shooting of Michael Brown. Sharpton tells the Associated Press that he has talked to Brown's family and he plans to meet with them in person either tonight or tomorrow.
And a number of meetings and rallies planned today in reaction to the shooting death of Michael Brown. One of those meetings being held by the local chapter of the NAACP at the Murchison Tabernacle Church. That's on Natural Bridge Road. It starts at 6 p.m. The public is invited to attend. And this just into our breaking news center. We do want to let you know that Jennings schools are being closed today. We do know that Jennings borders Ferguson. Yeah, we don't know officially that the schools are closed because of this unrest throughout the overnight, but it does border Ferguson, so it's something we'll follow up on later this morning. Now, Ann Allred continues our team coverage. She's also been on duty since last night. She has the latest from Ferguson City Hall. Good morning, Ann.
Good morning. We're actually at the police department, Pat, where we are expecting people to come here, demonstrators, for a rally at 10 a.m., and then they're going to march through the streets of Ferguson. They're by some community activists as of Sunday morning, as well as online via social media. 10,000 strong to show up for this 10 a.m. Demonstration outside the police department. Now, earlier overnight, a group of peaceful protesters were across the department. They've been here for 2 days. Now, they say they want to show the other side of this protest, not what we saw last night, but the peaceful side. Now, every time a car goes by...
We're going to jump in. We're having a little trouble with Ann's audio right now, but we want to let you know that she is outside the Ferguson Police Department. There have been some cyber attacks for the city of Ferguson's website. There have been calls for 10,000 people to show up for a peaceful protest at 10 a.m. there. Of course, we're going to continue to follow that story throughout the morning.
But right now, police still mobilized at the Buzz Westfall Shopping Center. Many of you may remember that as the old Northland Shopping Center. And Dana Dean's been talking with police all morning long. So, Dana, are there any updates?
Well, at one point, there were 300 police officers from about 24 departments on the streets of Ferguson last night. I'm in the staging area at West Florissant and Lucas and Hunt. It's a shopping mall here. You can see it is very calm behind me, so calmed down quite a bit here, but still there are more than 100 officers in the Ferguson area as we speak. I'm joined now by St. Louis County Police Department PIO Officer Brian Shellman. Talk about the violence that officers experienced last night.
Yeah, it was, I wasn't here, but speaking with them, they just described it as scary, and a couple of them said it's, one of the scariest situations they've ever been in their life. Look, we know as police officers that when we sign up for this job, it's dangerous. I was talking with members of our tactical operations unit who had just left the scene a little bit ago. They said that when they got out of their armored vehicle, luckily they're fully geared up, that bottles and rocks and bricks were being thrown at them. So it was a scary situation for everyone. Talked to another officer who said that, he kind of looked at me and said, I got shot at last night, and that's scary. Luckily, nobody, police officers or civilians, were hurt as a result of the bullets.
But 2 officers suffered minor injuries. How were they injured?
I don't know how they were injured. The one was hit by a brick. I don't know where that happened, and those injuries are minor. The second one, I believe, while affecting an arrest somewhere, had a knee injury. I don't know the severity of it, and I don't know exactly where that occurred.
10,000 people have been called to attend a rally at 10 a.m. How are police preparing for that rally?
Yeah, I'm not really prepared to talk about them because I just don't know. I know that the city of Ferguson police chief and our police chief and commanders on both departments and other municipalities around the area will get together and talk about that, about how their plan to make sure that something like this doesn't happen again.
Okay, and do you know how many patrol cars were damaged?
I do not know. I can get you that number. Somebody had told me from the scene that it was 10 and others said it was only 5. So I'm not sure. I did hear, though, that it was multiple. I know St. Louis County police vehicles were damaged as well as other municipalities.
Thank you, Officer Shellman. And he also told me earlier that more than 24 stores were looted last night. 32 arrests were made in those lootings. That's the very latest from here at the staging area. I'm Dana Dean for News Channel 5.
Okay, Dana, thanks so much. Now, a lot of the looting and violence worked its way north along West Florissant. It started in Ferguson, but then it went north along Ferguson into some parts of Delwood, and that's where Ryan Dean is live this morning at Zisser Tire, where there's just a lot of broken glass this morning. Ryan.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm at the intersection of West Florissant and Chambers Road. That gives people an idea, and this store is very well known in the area. They've been in business since the late 80s. The owners actually just arrived about 5 minutes ago, a husband and wife, and the wife gets out of the truck. She looks at this damage and she puts her hands over her face and begins to cry after looking at this store. Just several windows smashed out. We're told that one of the cars, their car, was either in the shop or outside, has been stolen. It's gone. It's missing. I want to show you some more video. We actually caught up with a police officer, a Delwood police officer that works with St. Louis County PD, and his back of his cruiser, he had a window that was smashed as well. The Taco Bell right across the street here on West Florissant, that has lots of damage. Several windows there smashed out, including the drive-through window. And we were told by a police officer that a man was assaulted there. He couldn't give me more details on that, but he said a man was assaulted. But again, no more detail on that. And then the AutoZone next door to that was also hit. Looks like looters got inside there. So several businesses right in this area of West Florissant near Chambers Road in Delwood hit overnight by looters, and now it's just the mess left behind. That's the latest here in Delwood. I'm Ryan Dean, News Channel 5.
All right, thanks, Ryan.
We do want to give you a look at your Monday forecast.
All right, I guess we're talking about temperatures today that are going to be reasonable as we head into this afternoon. And we are talking this morning, a few spot sprinkles still left down south. We had some showers and storms go by to the south. They have diminished now, but you still have a couple of sprinkles here over towards DuQuoin. A few more going across Reynolds County, but they're kind of fizzling out on us. And our future cast, basically, a couple of scattered showers are possible today and right on into early this evening. By early this evening, most of the action is east and southeast of St. Louis. Your bottom line here is it's a warm, muggy day. Temperatures are back into the mid-80s for highs. The rain chances not that high. Most of the day is going to be on the dry side. Next 7 days ahead will be drying out tonight. The humidity levels will drop way off. That'll be the case for tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. Then over the weekend, the humidity's back, and so is the chance for some showers and storms. Not a washout weekend, though, but it does look like it's a lot like this weekend with temperatures in the mid-80s and kind of muggy. 6:29 is our time right now.
And traffic-wise, if you're scooting out the door, maybe getting some kiddos off to work, you're not going to have too many concerns. Take a look at our maps. You can see we're in pretty good shape. This is some chopper video here above the scene out near Ferguson. If you are traveling out that direction, West Florissant between Lucas and Hunt and Chambers, quite a bit of debris through that stretch. So keep that in mind. Also still a police presence through that area. So just exercise a little bit of caution as you make your way through those parts of town. Taking a look at 270 and 70 here, you can see that we're looking at green sensors once you come across the Blanchette Bridge there through Earth City. The big picture again, here's that area that I've been talking about. All of our reporters out there through that stretch, so keep that in mind. 270, however, though, across from Illinois into Missouri, you're in great shape there. Speeds around that 55 to 60 miles per hour, and everywhere else accident-free. Illinois drivers scooting right along, and 64, 55, 70 headed inbound across the Poplar, the King Bridge, also the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge.
It is now 6:30.
You're watching Today in St. Louis.
You're watching News Channel 5, where the news comes first.
Good morning. Take a look at this. Night of frenzy. This is the front page of this morning's Post-Dispatch, summing up what has been an incredibly hectic and violent night in North St. Louis County, all in response to the police shooting of an unarmed teenager looting and rioting. It started in Ferguson and it spread to some other nearby cities.
And we have full coverage. 6 crews in the field on every angle of this breaking news story, including some reporters who were literally in the middle of the action last night.
Now, for any of those of you who are just waking up and haven't kept up with the news over the weekend, on Saturday, a Ferguson police officer shot and killed 18-year-old Michael Brown. Now, Brown was said to be visiting his grandmother at the Canfield Green Apartments in Ferguson when this deadly incident unfolded, and the unrest in Ferguson erupted after a candlelight vigil last night.
And our team coverage begins with News Channel 5's Elizabeth Matthews. And Elizabeth, at one point, was trapped in the KSDK news vehicle last night. Elizabeth?
That's right, guys. We were trying to get as close as we can, but also being as safe as we possibly can. And we got ourselves near a police barricade where a crowd was kind of pushing up against them. We got out of there. We thought that wasn't exactly safe. We made it back to our news unit. We did a couple of live shots. Then we decided, well, we do need to give a perspective to you, to our viewers. So we got ourselves where we thought was a pretty good location at an intersection just south of Ferguson Road and West Florissant Avenue. We got there and it was very peaceful. Then all of a sudden that police barricade opened up and people started funneling towards us in that intersection. It became kind of a volatile situation. We decided to pack up our live equipment here and our camera, get back in our car and try to exit, but the people in the area did not want us to go anywhere. They actually sat on the hood of our car. They were knocking, beating the sides of our car, not letting us go anywhere, get away from the situation. We were actually in there, in the car, trapped, so to speak, sort of, for about an hour until police were able to help us get out of that situation. So now, several hours later, it is morning time. It is very peaceful, but take a look at this. This is extensive damage here at the Quick Trip. We were talking about this a lot last night. The roof is caved in. Obviously, the building is on fire, and when we showed up early this morning, you could actually see the roof still smoking in places. Now, this all started with looting, people breaking through the windows, breaking through the doors, trying to steal the stuff, and then they caught it on fire. Look at all these people. So now you're seeing video of exactly how it happened last night. These are images of right after that march became very volatile. Marchers started going north on West Florissant Avenue to businesses like this Quick Trip and other small businesses that we have been reporting, just busting through those doors, busting through those windows, trying to get whatever they could. And then at some point after that, lighting this business on fire. And we do know that the Quick Trip was on fire for several hours last night. We kept trying to get to it, but the police had barricaded, had secured the location to where no media could get through, probably only just for our safety and to make sure that no one else was in a dangerous situation. Excuse me. This morning, there were a lot of people have been stopping by, driving up and down the road just to take a look at this. We have been talking about this. They know that it's heavily damaged. A lot of people interested just want to see it with their own eyes. But of course, police do not want that. They do not need you in the area. There's still a lot of stuff going on. Guys, back to you.
All right, Elizabeth Matthews reporting live for us this morning. And our coverage continues of the volatile situation in Ferguson.
News Channel 5's Ann Allred, who's on a bit of a delay. Bear with us. She's also been up all night covering the angle of the threats being made to the city of Ferguson. Ann?
Pat, we have new information about the city of Ferguson being hacked. The hacker group Anonymous broke in and dismantled the city of Ferguson's web capabilities. They are still having problems this morning. It's not working for the entire city. We're talking about the fire department right here. We got the police department on the other side. And we also have City Hall just about a block and a half away. Also, their phone lines are down because they're having problems with their web capabilities. We were told last night they had hundreds of death threats into the city of Ferguson and into the mayor's office. Now we're being told by the captain here that thousands of death threats have come into the city of Ferguson against council members, against the mayor himself, against individual police officers, against the police officers as a group. Also, the hackers have somehow managed to get private cell phone records, private home addresses. They've shared this information with the police force, obviously alarming officers, and they are taking this situation very seriously. The Ferguson police captain right now is at headquarters. He is doing roll call with the latest batch of police officers to report for duty this morning, and he's giving them all of this information, keeping them up to date and warning them about what's going on. That's the latest from the Ferguson Police Department. I'm Ann Allred, News Channel 5.
All right, thanks, Ann. Now, meantime, cleanup is underway not far away at a Walmart store that's located on West Florissant in 270.
And that's where Farah Fazal continues our team coverage this morning.
The parking lot is finally clear here, actually, and I want to show you what it looked like last night. When we got here very late last night, you can see officers manning the front of the Walmart. The employee here, in fact, we got a lot of information from an employee who was supposed to come to work here, but he did not because he got a call not to come. And the call was because it was much too dangerous to get inside the Walmart. You can see officers with guns, and we, in fact, saw them in one position getting ready to fire at somebody. We don't know if they actually saw somebody or not. We also know that there was lots of looting, lots of stores being affected. Sarah Barton says her brother was watching the news to find out what was going on inside the Walmart. He was also talking to people inside the store. 20 or 25 of them hid in a front room when the looters broke in. He says all of them are okay. We saw the store manager trying to clean up the debris here this morning. He says that the store will not be open today. They're going to spend this day trying to clean up the inside of the store. Much of their electronics, their TVs are gone. There's glass everywhere. So a lot of cleanup to do inside the store, but they're hoping to be open again here in the next few days. Pat and Nicole.
All right, Farah Fazal reporting live. Now, meantime, Christina Coleman's been out in the Ferguson area for more than 15 hours. She joins us live now with a look at some of the other damage. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, Nicole. Yeah, I was out here around 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon for a prayer vigil that was very calm, very peaceful. You know, church leaders just asking for some kind of strategy to make sure that the community gets along well with the police officers. And in just a matter of hours, things took a dramatic turn for the worse. We're going to go ahead and show you what the street looks like right now here on West Florissant. I mean, there are bricks out here. I mean, just hours ago, there were chairs, glass. I mean, you have to keep in mind, people have been out here for hours shouting and yelling and rallying and protesting. And so, I mean, this is just kind of the aftermath. You have a lot of business owners that are out here very early in the morning cleaning up. I spoke with one just moments ago. She doesn't want a restaurant on camera for fear of more break-ins, but she said, you know, my business has been here for 38 years. I had nothing to do with this officer-involved shooting, and now we have to clean up this mess, and who knows how much it's going to cost them. So you see a lot of that going on, and still a heavy police presence because these officers are out here driving past, you know, the window fronts of these businesses to make sure there aren't any other burglaries. But yeah, you know, this is just surreal. I was out here at night. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I was hearing gunshots. I was, you know, hearing that cars were being broken into. I was hearing that buildings were being set on fire. You're just hearing all this chaos around you. And we were surrounded, me and my photographer, Tony Chambers, were surrounded by officers. And so we couldn't see what was going on. And so, you know, here we are in the sunlight, seeing the debris and damage and, you know, these frustrated business owners. And we're just hoping that everything continues to be peaceful from here because it is right now. Back to you guys.
Absolutely. Christina Coleman reporting live for us this morning. Thank you. Well, News Channel 5 has learned the family of Michael Brown has retained the services of lawyer Benjamin Krupp. Now, you may recognize him, a national civil rights attorney. He also represented the family of Trayvon Martin, the unarmed Florida teen shot and killed by George Zimmerman. Krupp and Brown's family are expected to address the media this afternoon. And the Reverend Al Sharpton making his way to Ferguson. It's in response to the shooting death of Michael Brown. Sharpton tells the Associated Press he's spoken to Brown's family and plans to meet with them in person either tonight or tomorrow.
And a number of meetings and rallies are planned today in reaction to the shooting of Michael Brown. Now, one of those meetings is being held by the local chapter of the NAACP, and the meeting is at the Murchison Tabernacle Church on Natural Bridge Road. It's at 6 p.m. Now, a member of the NAACP spoke with our Mike Bush last night.
At this meeting, we're going to have some panelists, some that are going to give some legal perspective. Some national officials will also be in town for this event to provide some comfort to both the family and to the individuals, and to provide some answers, because a lot of people want answers and they want to understand the process.
And one of the things you said in the press release is that you hope to provide accurate and reliable information to be shared with the community. But in that same press release, you called what happened a murder. Is that accurate and reliable?
Absolutely. We certainly believe that it is a murder. From our conversations with close officials with the St. Louis County Police Department, there were way more than 2 shells found at the scene of the accident. And for a young man to have been unarmed, at least from the information that we have right now, for him to have even been shot that many times, to the NAACP, that's a murder, and that's a problem.
All right, now again, that meeting is at Murchison Tabernacle Church on Natural Bridge Road at 6 p.m. But this morning, it is the first day of school for thousands of area students, including St. Louis Public, right, Scott?
St. Louis Public Schools back in today. Pattonville, Hazelwood, Riverview Gardens heading back to school. Collinsville, I think, is headed back to school today. And you're talking about the Rockwood School District going back too. Most of us just looking at some light fog. We do see the visibilities in spots here near Effingham and Salem at times going down close to 0. So you run into a few spots in the outlying areas where the visibilities really drop down. There have been a couple of sprinkles and lighter showers down to the south of St. Louis early this morning. Not much rain is going to be out there today. There will be perhaps a spot shower or spot storm. Temperatures back into the mid-80s. Still a muggy day on the way this afternoon, but we'll get rid of that humidity during the overnight hours tonight. Let's find out how traffic's rolling along right now at 6:44. Sarah Daly's monitoring that.
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on both sides of the river, Scott. No major problems, no accidents, so it is a great way to start off your first day of school if your parents are dropping you off. But let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on outside your door this morning. 55 north of Merrimack Bottom here. You can see northbound traffic starting to pick up a tad. 70 at Shreve, both directions. We did have a disabled vehicle there that was traveling westbound. That is now completely clear, so you shouldn't have any problems tapping the brakes through that stretch. Out near 70 and 79, definitely starting to see some volume pick up. Speeds dropping till about that 35-mile-per-hour mark. Still not completely bumper to bumper. You're moving along there, but just keep that in mind. That will be thickening up as the morning continues. The Papa Street Bridge for Illinois drivers this morning, not too bad a shape as you travel 64 westbound towards 5570 into downtown St. Louis, and 270 and Doherty Ferry. This is probably our heaviest spot right now. Once you pass 44 and continue on northbound towards 4064, that's when you really enter the thick of your morning commute and some heavier volume there, so just keep that in mind. And of course, we'll pass along any accidents or problems that you need to keep in mind this morning as you start your Monday.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. It is 6:45 right now. And a quick programming note, we will be preempting the first hour of the Today Show to bring you the developments that are happening right now in Ferguson.
Before we go to break, we want to take a live look this morning. This is the QT on West Florissant. It was looted and set on fire overnight. Lots of people gathering out there. Police presence still on scene.
Welcome back. It is now 6:48, and as we mentioned a couple of moments ago, it is the first day of school for many districts in our area, like St. Louis Public. Jennings School District was to begin today, but of course Jennings borders Ferguson, so there is no school. The Jennings School District has canceled school for today. They'll go back to school on Tuesday. We just received an email from Tiffany Anderson, Dr. Tiffany Anderson, the superintendent. In part, it says we do not feel it's safe for our students to walk to school on this day in Jennings.
And along those same lines, we do want to let you know that Ferguson Brewing is closed as well. They just sent out a tweet saying that it's closed in part due to the safety of their workers. They want to make sure that obviously people stay safe this morning.
Yeah, but it is back to school for so many others, Scott, and it's an active Monday. A lot of people looking ahead to the forecast want to know what that first day will be like.
Well, it's pretty quiet weather-wise. It's not going to be as typically hot as a lot of first days we've had going back to school in St. Louis. St. Louis Public Schools opening their doors today. We do have a lot of clouds around the metro area, but very little in the way of rainfall around the area now. Most spots reporting temperatures pretty close to 70 degrees, and that's about where we'll stay here through the bus stop this morning. Temperatures don't move a whole lot. Later on today, we'll be talking about 85 for the high, a muggy afternoon, and a slight chance for a shower or thunderstorm. There's not going to be a whole lot of rain around today. Let's find out what's going on the roads this morning. Sarah, we know the roads are dry in St. Louis.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we're in pretty good shape out there. You can see 70 and 79 is starting to pick up. Also northbound 270 as you approach Doherty Ferry, but we'll take a peek around the entire viewing area here when we come back in just a couple minutes.
But now back to our continuing coverage of the violence out of Ferguson.
Yeah, we have some new developments. News Channel 5's Ann Allred is at the Ferguson Police Department, and the Ferguson Police Chief is with her. Ann?
I'm with the Ferguson Police Captain, Captain Henke, and obviously we've been talking about some threats that have come in to the city of Ferguson, to council members, to the mayor, to individual police officers. Just describe for me the nature of the threats, and you just told me recently you've had thousands.
I would think thousands. The phone calls have been almost every minute last night. There were 3 and 4 phone calls coming in at a time of people calling in just death threats to the police department in general, not to individual council members that I'm aware of, but just in general. Anything to do with Ferguson, there was just death threats, threats of violence and so forth.
Also, the hacker group Anonymous broke into your web capabilities as a city. How are you dealing with those problems today? What's the web like for the city of Ferguson right now?
Well, and I'm only going this by the fact that it was on the website itself earlier this morning. When it was working, there was an article about Anonymous had broke into the City of Ferguson website. But since that time, our website is down. We just can't navigate through it. Our in-house phones are not acting right. Our email's not acting. We can't pull it up. So we're assuming that the news story is correct, that Anonymous is the one responsible for this.
And the personal cell phones and addresses of police officers have been exposed by some hackers.
Yes.
Possibly anonymous, we don't know. And so how did you find out that personal addresses and cell phones of your officers were out there?
We've received phone calls from different individuals who are threatening the police that we know where you live. We've all received several different phone calls on our cell phones, a lot of hang-up calls, a lot of threatening calls. So how they got the information, I don't know.
What do you do next?
We do what we always do. Today's going to be a very busy day. We have a very large rally coming up, and we're just going to have to do what we have to do. The fact that our phone calls our phones are being hacked and our computers are being hacked, that's secondary right now. We still have to serve the city.
10,000 people, there's been a call for 10,000 people to show up here in just a matter of hours at 10 a.m. for a rally and then a march.
Correct.
Are you expecting that many people? Are you preparing for that many?
I don't expect that many. From what I understand, the rally today in Ferguson has actually been canceled. It's my understanding, and again, based on the news stories, that they have rescheduled it. The mother of the deceased young gentleman is very angry at the rioting that took place last night and all the looting. She feels that her son has been disrespected, and so she has canceled everything. She doesn't want to participate in any of this. However, I understand they want to have whether it's a prayer service or what it is, I'm not sure, but they're going to meet somewhere else outside of the city of Ferguson. I understand Mr. Sharpton is going to be in town. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I keep hearing anyway in the news, that he'll be in town to help with the rally. But we still expect people to show up here too. But essentially it's been called off, but I'm sure not everyone knows about it.
Captain, let's talk about this symbol of surrender. People putting up their hands like this, and it's kind of become the gesture associated with this conflict, with this controversy, because of a witness saying that's what happened. Right. When Michael Brown, right before he was shot, he put up his hands without a weapon and surrendered. Do you have a comment on that?
Not being there, I really don't know what happened. However, interesting in a case like this, now all of a sudden we have hundreds of witnesses to this, and there really wasn't. People heard, and then I think they just heard that his hands were in the air and they ran with it. I don't know why. I really don't know. So, again, that's part of the investigation, though, that St. Louis County is doing. So we have enough on our hands right now. I really don't know what it means.
And
everybody's doing it.
the down phone lines and the down email, doesn't that affect your job?
Well, it does.
And how
absolutely.
you're going to be able to protect the city and communicate with one another out in the streets?
Absolutely. Hopefully our IT people will be able to correct that problem as soon as possible. But
Right.
we've got other things we need to do.
Captain Henke, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Long night for you guys. Nicole, Pat, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Ann Allred reporting live in Ferguson.
And again, we will be preempting the first hour of the Today Show to cover those developments in Ferguson. We'll be right back.